We're going to talk about singular and plural nouns and what are called non-count nouns. Most of the time, we can count a noun. We can say, I have a pencil, or I have 3 pens, or I have 15 pieces of paper. But if I say, I have paper, I'm not counting how much paper I have. Or if I say, I like rice, or I like pasta, there's not a number associated with those. So today we're going to look at the singular in English of each noun and then how you make the plural. And then we'll talk about non-count nouns. So if you follow along with me, I have on the left, I have the singular. Sometimes, most of the time we say a or a, for example, a pear. And then the plural is pears. But sometimes we have to say an. And if you look at the examples that I have here, you can see that each time I say an, it is because the noun begins with a vowel. So if you have a word that begins a noun that begins with an A, E, I, O, or U, any one of the vowels, you're going to say an in front of it. So we say an apple, apples. An orange, oranges. An ear of corn, ears of corn. Follow along with me. A pear, pears. A peach, peaches. A plum, plums. A green bean, green beans. A bagel, bagels. A muffin, muffins. A banana, bananas. A carrot, carrots. A tomato, tomatoes. A pea, peas. A blueberry, blueberries. A strawberry, strawberries. A cherry, cherries. A grape, grapes. A cookie, cookies. A chip, chips. A pretzel, pretzels. Okay, you'll notice that most of the time, the way I made the plural is just to add S. But sometimes I had to add ES. For example, peach, I had to add an ES to peaches. It would be very hard to pronounce P-E-A-C-H-S. Peaches, it's hard to say. So peaches is easier to say. Tomatoes needs an ES. And look at the two words blueberry and strawberry. Blueberry and strawberry. The Y changes to I, and then I add ES. Same thing with cherry. A cherry, written with a Y, but then changes in the plural to IES. Okay, so those are some singular to plural nouns. But then we have, those are things we can count, because I can say 1 pretzel or 3 pretzels. I can say 1 cookie or 5 cookies. But there are some nouns that we can't count. For example, bread. I cannot say a bread. I have to say a loaf of bread, maybe, or a lot of bread. So these are non-count nouns. Usually we don't use them in the plural. So we say bread, beef, broccoli, fish, corn, rice, chicken, cereal, pork, oil, milk, and water. So I can say a glass of milk or a bowl of milk, or I can say a bottle of water or a glass of water. I can say a cup of oil. But I normally, when I say milk, I do not pluralize it. I just say, I like milk. I drink water. So those are non-count nouns. We can't count water by itself. We can count bottles of water or cups of milk, or we can count ears of corn or loaves of bread, but we can't count them by themselves. So here's some rules for singular nouns. A or an is the indefinite article. It means something like one. If I say a banana, that means 1 banana. For example, I see a zebra and an elephant. I don't have a sister, but I have a brother. When do we use a in front of a noun and when do we use an? Nouns that begin in a vowel will use an in front of them. We saw some before. We saw an apple. Here we have an umbrella, an orchestra, an automobile, an experience, an island, an apartment. Nouns that begin in a consonant will use a in front of them. We can say a park, a bicycle, a street, a garden, a computer, or a library. You can also pronounce a. For example, you can say a park, a bicycle, a street, a garden, a computer, a library. How do we make a noun plural? Usually, we just add the S. For example, an animal, many animals, a telephone, many telephones. Sometimes we have to add ES. If the word ends in an S already, like a bus, we're not just going to add an S. That would be really hard to pronounce. It would be a bus, many bus, so we can't say it. So we're going to add ES, and we add another syllable. So a bus, many buses. A class, we certainly cannot add a third S. That would be funny looking. So we say a class, many classes. A box, many boxes. A church, many churches. So those add ES. We will learn much more about singular and plural nouns in class, but there's a short lesson for you, and go back and make sure you're pronouncing correctly all of the vocabulary words that we did with foods, fruits, vegetables, meats, and carbohydrates.